Hello everyone, this is Gamer of Knowledge and More, Gamer of Knowledge, GoCam, or Fred if you want to call me by my real name, back with another video. This time, it's another deck profile, but for my Dark Paladin deck. If you don't know, Dark Paladin is a fusion monster who needs Dark Magician and Buster Blader. So, for this deck, I'm running a lot of support for both of them. So I'm going to start off with the monsters. First of all, I'm playing 3 Dark Magicians. It is one of the main cards that you need for the deck if you want to bring out your Dark Paladin as soon as possible, simply because of it being a fusion material. He doesn't have any effects. He's just the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. And with some of the cards in the deck, he can be brought out himself quite easily. Next up, it is triple Buster Blader. What he does is that he gains Foundry attack for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. So really good against a dragon based deck. And so is the other fusion monster that we play that involves Buster Blader, which I'll show you in a bit. He can also be brought out quite easily with one of the trap cards in the deck, and also with another card in the deck which can bring him out easy as well. Next up, I'm running the skilled counterparts with skilled Dark Magician and skilled White Magician. They have the same effect where each time a spell card is activated, you place a spell counter on it, and with a maximum of 3, and you contribute the card with 3 spell counters to bring out either Dark Magician or Buster Blader from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So both of them can help bring them out quite easily. I'm only running the 1 copy of each though, because I don't want to overrun the deck with them, because they're not as important as the other cards. For some of the other Dark Magician monsters, I'm running 1 Dark Magician of Chaos. What he does is that during the end phase, if he was normal or special summon this turn, you get to return a spell card from your graveyard to your hand. So if you wanted to, you could bring back the main fusion spell card that I run in the deck, which is Destruction Swordsman Fusion, which can help bring out Dark Paladin. And if he destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it, you banish that monster after damage calculation, and if this face of card leaves the field, it is banished instead. So he's in there for mainly the spell recursion, but if I have to, I would use him to kill an opponent's monster. Next up is 1 Dark Eradicator Warlock. He cannot be normal summoned to set, and you can only special summon him by tributing a Dark Magician on your side of the field. And whenever someone plays a normal spell card, your opponent takes 1,000 points of damage. So, even though he doesn't get much, even though it's not big of a boost in terms of attack or defense, or level for that matter, he does help burn your opponent out. Next is 1 Magician of Dark Illusion. His name becomes Dark Magician while he's on the field, and you can only use 1 of the other effects per turn. When your opponent activates during your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell trap card, except during the down step, you can bring him out from your hand. And if I activate a spell trap card or effect while he's on my field, then I get to return a Dark Magician from my hand. From my graveyard, I mean. Last up, it is Magician's Ward. When he is normal summoned, you can add a spell trap card from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Dark Magician in its text. So you can add I'll get to what cards you can search out later. And during your opponent's turn, then if you activate a spell trap card effect while it's in your graveyard, you can tribute a spellcaster to return to your hand. That's going to do it for the Dark Magician monsters. Next up is the Buster Blader monsters. I'm running 2 Wizard Buster Destruction Sword. You can equip him onto a Buster Blader you control. And while it's equipped, your monsters in your opponent's graveyard cannot activate their effects. And you can send this equipped card to the graveyard to return 1 Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard to your hand, except another copy of him. So he can help bring back the other 2 monsters, one for my goal for now, which is a Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. It has the same equip effect, but instead of perfecting graveyard effects, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. And while it is equipped, you can special summon him. So you could do that if you want to synchro summon. Next up is Buster Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. Probably, I only have 1 copy, but it's probably the best Destruction Sword I have in terms of monsters. When he is normal summoned, you can add 1 Destruction Sword card from your deck to your hand, except another copy, and you can use one of the following effects per turn. And you can tribute this card to special summon Buster Blader from your hand or graveyard, and if it is in your graveyard and you control Buster Blader, you can discard a Destruction Sword card to bring him back. So with it being a dragon and a tuner, you get to do some things with Buster Blader if you want. Yeah. To round up the monsters, I'm running 2 Talent Dragons. Just a big monster who is a dragon, really good for the deck. I'll explain why some of these cards are dragons in a bit. Okay, for the spells, I'm going to do these in a weird order because yeah, wait. First off, there's 2 Diartamias. It is also always treated as Legendary Dragon Tamias. You target 1 Dark Magician monster you control, and you fusion summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that lists that monster you control, that lists that monster on the field as fusion material, using it as the fusion material. So with this, if you want to, you can use your Dark Magician to use it to special summon your Dark Paladin. If you don't have your if you have him out but not your Buster Blader, you cannot search this out from through Magician's Rod because it targets a Dark Magician monster and not Dark Magician specifically. It can do it to Dark Magician, but it does it to a variety of monsters. Next up, I have 2 cards that can be searched out with another card which I'll talk about in a bit as well, which is Dark Magic Attack and Thousand Knives. They both have the same requirement of you needing to control a Dark Magician. Dark Magic Attack destroys all spell and trap cards your opponent controls, and Thousand Knives destroys a monster. So good removal if your opponent has any cards that might be pesky. Next up, I'm running 1 Dark Magical Circle. When it's activated, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, then you can reveal 1 Dark Magician or 1 spell trap card that specifically lists Dark Magician in its text. So if you want, you could search out Thousand Knives or Dark Magic Attack from the top 3. And if Dark Magician is normal or special summon to your field, then you can banish a card your opponent controls. Banishing is just out of the game, or as it's used to be called, remove from play. Next, it is one Illusion Magic. What I like to do with this card is add it to my hand through Magician's Rod, then sacrifice that Magician's Rod to activate this. Because what it does is that you tribute a spellcaster monster and you add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck and or graveyard to your hand. So that's really good if I have Magician Navigation and Eternal Soul in my hand. Next up is one Dedication to Light and Darkness. For this, you tribute one Dark Magician to bring out Dark Magician of Chaos, which I showed you earlier. So it can be from anywhere except for the Banish Zone. Next, to round up the Dark Magician spells, I'm running 2 Dark Magic Expanded. You apply the effects in sequence based on the number of Dark Magician and or Dark Magician goals on the field and in the graveyards. We do not run any Dark Magician goals. If we did, we would have went past them. But I do run 3 Dark Magicians. So the first effect is that one Dark Spellcaster type monster on the field gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. 2. This turn, your opponent cannot activate cards and effects in response to your spam trap cards or effect activations, and your spam trap cards cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And 3. Dark Spellcaster type monsters you currently control are unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of this turn. So it's kind of like a backup to your Eternal Soul, which makes all your Dark Magicians unaffected by your opponent's card effects. Next, for the Burster Blader cards, we are only running one Burster Blader spell card, which is Destruction Swordsman Fusion. With this, you fusion summon one fusion monster that lists Burster Blader as a material from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or either side of the field as fusion material. So if you somehow end up against another Dark Magician player who can bring out Dark Magician easily, then you can just play this, use the Dark Magician and your Burster Blader. Also, if it's in your graveyard, you can send a card from your hand to your grave to treat this back into your hand. You can only use each effect of it once per turn. Next, to finish off the spells, I'm running one Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This is only if you're against a Mystic Mind player, which I have been up against before. It's a sad tale. If you control a Spellcaster type monster and your opponent does not, your opponent cannot activate spell cards, but if you control no spellcasters, then you can activate spell cards. So it's like a double-edged sword with the spell cards. Next up is the trap cards. We are running 2 Eternal Soul. It makes every Dark Magician in your monster zone unaffected by your opponent's card effects, but if this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. And it has two other effects. You can either special summon one Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, or search your deck for a Dark Magic attack or 1,000 Knives and add it to your hand. So I like to use it with Illusion Magic and the other card I'm going to show you, which is Magician Navigation. What it does is that you special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon one level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster monster from your deck. And if you control Dark Magician, except the turn it was sent to the grave, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target one face-up card spell trap card your opponent controls, it has this effect negated to the end phase. Really good if your opponent has like a gravity bind or a different card on the field. Next, for the Buster Blader traps, I'm running 2 Destruction Sword memories. With it, you discard a Destruction Sword card to special summon a Buster Blader monster from your deck. And you can banish this card and fusion summon 1 Buster Blader that's Dragon Destroyer Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing the fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard. And Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, requires Buster Blader plus 1 Dragon monster. To face off the Buster Blader traps, I'm running 2 Destruction Sword Flash. If you control a fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as material, you banish all your opponent's monsters. And when a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monster you control, except during the damage step, you can banish this from your graveyard to negate and destroy that card. So a little bit of protection like Eternal Soul, except not better. Next, to face off the traps, I'm running 1 DNA Surgery so to turn F1 into dragons if I want to. Okay, for the extra deck, I'm running 1 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. It requires Dark Magician plus 1 Dragon monster. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field or in the graveyard. So if you want to, you could use Eternal Soul to bring it back from the grave if you have to. Your opponent cannot target spell trap cards you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this kind of protects your Eternal Soul while your Eternal Soul protects him. So if you just have a field of Dark Magicians, then your opponent cannot do anything to either of them. Next is Amulet Dragon. Same materials as the Dark Magician Dragon Knight. It must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials or with the Aftermites, which we went over earlier. If it's special summoned, target any number of spell cards in any graveyard, minimum 1. You banish those targets, and if you do, he gains 100 attack for each card. And if it's destroyed, you get to use special summon a spellcaster from your graveyard. Also, take note that you could almost see Amulet Dragon and Talon Dragon as almost the same monster, because they're both the same level, same type, and they have the same attack and defense points. Also, Talon Dragon can be the fusion material of Amulet Dragon if you decide to fusion summon him properly. Next up is the 3 Dark Paladins. It requires Dark Magician plus Buster Blader. It must be fusion summoned. And when a spell card is activated, you can discard a card, negate and destroy that spell card. This must be face up to activate and resolve the effect. It has an upgraded version of Buster Blader's effect, where he gains 500 attack for each dragon monster on the field and in the graveyard. So it doesn't matter whose side they're on, he gains 500 attack for them. And with DNA Surgery, downstairs he'll gain 500 from himself, since he'll be a dragon himself. Next up, I run 2 Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. I will try to get another one for the deck, but at the moment I just have 2. It needs Buster Blader plus 1 Dragon type monster. It must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Cannot attack directly, and like Dark Paladin, he has an upgraded version of Buster Blader, but this time he gains 1000 attack and defense for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Then you change all dragon type monsters your opponent controls to defense position, and they can't activate their effects. And if he attacks a defense position monster, you inflict piercing battle damage. So this deck would be good against dragon decks. I run 5-headed dragon. It's pretty much pointless at this point because I don't have any proper way of bringing him out. Because all he needs is 5 dragon monsters. He must be fusion summoned, and he can't be destroyed by all but 2 attributes, which is nice and defined. Next up, I run 2 synchros and 2 XCs. The 2 synchros is Starlight Red Dragon Archfiend and Stardust Spark Dragon. I have them in the deck because they're both dragon types. They need 1 tuner plus 1 non-tuner monsters. Starlight Red Dragon Archfiend's effect is that his name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it is on the field or in the graveyard, and you can destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to discards other than him. So with the original attack of 3000, it can pretty much get over a lot of things. And then your opponent takes 500 life points for each card. Star Spark Dragon gives one of your cards temporary destruction immunity once per turn. Next, the 2 XCs I have is EBON High Magician and Illusion Magician. They're both Dark Magician supportive. Let's start with EBON High Magician. He needs 2 level 7 spellcaster type monsters. While it has exit materials, you can activate a quick play spell card or a trap card from your hand during your opponent's turn by detaching an exit material. If this exit summoned card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if it is sent dead by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck. Then you can destroy a card on the field. Really good for either of the effects. Next is EBON Illusion Magician. He needs 2 level 7 monsters, but you can also exit summon him by using a rank 6 spellcaster type monster as material. Once per turn, you can detach an exit material from this card to special summon a spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. And when a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, destroy it. So I hope you like this deck profile. This has been a deck that has been through a lot since 2 years ago, and I quite enjoyed making it. I hope you enjoy. If you do want to see more, stay tuned by clicking the subscribe button and bell icon so you can get future notifications. And if you want to, please like and comment. If you have anything that could change in my videos, what would you change? And I might be able to do them. I can't promise anything, but you don't know. See you guys.